Okay, so I know in my previous video I said that I would this one would be dedicated to placebo effect, if I'm correct, which by the way does seriously interest me, and I still want to do that in the future, which I will. But tonight I went out and just heard, like, I don't know, I'm very weird in that sense, that I'd go out and just, like, I love observing people, so I'll just observe behavior around me all the time. And in observing, it just rang with me something that I've been questioning for a very long time as well, which is intelligence. What is intelligence? So this one, I wouldn't say is a difficult one for me. Again, it's just my opinion. I don't want to make anybody feel bad or unintellectual or any of that. This whole channel is just about me voicing how I feel about things or my opinion on things. Like I said in the previous one, it's not at all to bring anybody down. Now that that's out the way, also I was advised to beforehand state that I might in some ways contradict myself, as in if I make a video now and maybe in the future I make a different video that somehow contradicts the information that I have stated prior. That was his idea, was to mention that beforehand. Whereas for me, okay, I've mentioned it now, but at the end of the day, I view that in life we contradict ourselves all the time, which to me also is a good thing, because if you're contradicting yourself, it means that you're learning something new, and for me it's unintellectual to say that how you are is how you'll stay. You know, no one can be stagnant, whether that's information or personality wise or however. Like, we are, the only thing that's constant is change, right? So yeah, if you're somebody that's going to watch these videos and just like critique, maybe you have not found the correct channel, because I'm voicing openly that I will be making many mistakes and I'll probably be contradicting myself in many ways, because my view will change as I change, and that's just how it is. So yeah, back to the point of all of this. What is intelligence? What is IQ? What does it mean to be intellectual? And this came about because I've been sitting around a few people, well, not a few, you know, it's been happening my whole life. It's sitting around where you'll see somebody come past and comments will be passed. Like, ooh, he's so, you know, I like him or I like her, but they're just so dumb. I hear that a lot. It's just stupid and blah 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 blah. I don't know, so it kind of got me thinking, well, what does it mean to be intelligent then? Like, what does that mean, right? Because in school, and this is where it gets weird, because you go to school and you get given information to study and to write your test on, right? You're given the information you're going to be tested on, so you study what you need to study and you write what they want you to write, how they want you to write it, and based on that you get good marks and you're seen as the clever one or the intellectual one. And I'll admit that specifically because that was me. You know, I learned from a very young age that sitting down, reading a book, or, you know, studying exactly what they wanted and saying it exactly how they wanted it made me come off as intelligent. Not come off as intelligent, but made them view me as being clever or being intellectual. whether that's by your parents or by the teachers or by the students you're surrounded by, they view you as like, oh, she's clever, you know. And I picked up that pattern from a very young age. Like it was at a young age quite simple to have to learn something and tell somebody else. It gets more and more difficult as you get older, because there's more and more information you got to suck up and spit out exactly as they want it, right? Anyhow, I learned that from a very young age, and if you ask the kids I was with at school, they kind of tell you that, you know. I don't want to say like the clever kid, and come off as something like, ooh, she's brainy, because for me that's unintellectual. That's not having a mind, not having a brain. It's not intellectual at all. It's kind of pathetic, to be honest. Anyhow, that's just me. Again, not bringing anybody else down, just sharing my story. That's exactly what I would do, literally. I just figured out it was as easy as, like I said, parroting exactly what somebody else wanted, exactly how they wanted it, and you were the clever kid. And it was as easy as that. You know, like getting all the different headings, like the subheading first titles, and writing them down, and then making the sort of song in your head to remember all the different subtitles and everything else, whatever, you know. Like I did all of that shit, and I was the clever girl, you know. And I even remember, that's the weird thing, because I remember people saying like, you're really clever, you're really intelligent, and me also being confused by that, because I understood how the whole trick worked. And they'd say like, oh, she's really clever, or you're really clever, and I literally just used to look at them and say, no, I'm clever enough to know what I should study in order to pass. Like, you know, there's a difference between being clever and being clever enough to know what to do and how to do that in order to seem clever, if I can say that, put in simplistic terms. Which you know, kind of brings us back to, I almost feel like I want to say, do not insult my intelligence by saying that it is intelligent to read information and lay out that information exactly the way in which you want it. That's not intelligent. Come on, guys. That's not clever, right? That's not. Because even at school, if you've been given this information, again, it happened to me a couple times too, I'm sure there's many of you out there as well, where you read this mind-blowing information, you're just like, you know, and it sparks this creative outlet in you, and you just write like how it applies to you in your life, and all of a sudden those marks don't show for it, you know. You're like, oh, that's kind of not what we were going for by giving you that information. We were sort of expecting and hoping for this. So no, you don't have a good mark. That was not clever. Thanks. That happened a couple times, and then you get the information. And then the sickening part of that, I even learned that throughout my studies, you know. I was in honours year, and getting information that I had the wildest, most insane, like, theories and explanations of this shit in my head that I could not apply. I didn't apply it because I was like, if I apply this, I'm not going to get the marks that I need. And I know that's horrible, and that's like, oh, you're being hypocritical. I totally get that, but unfortunately that was the system that I was in. So I needed to literally exactly say what they wanted me to say, how they wanted me to say it, in order to get those marks to reflect. Which is just like, that is ridiculous, because they don't actually want you to think for yourself. They don't. They want you to think as they've thought, as they've been told to think, and as they want you to think. And for me, that's not being intelligent. That's not at all being clever, because you're a drone. At the end of the day, you're a freaking robot. Let's be honest, you're not thinking for yourself. You're just doing what somebody else wants you to do, and you're doing that how they want you to do it. So that doesn't make you clever. And then also something I wanted to address, because I also have these people around me in my lives in my life, sorry, where they feel inferior and they feel less than, they feel dumb or stupid or whatever else, because they have the person coming into their lives that speaks about these crazy concepts and theories and scientific terminology, and they feel almost intimidated. They do feel intimidated, and they don't respond to whatever it is that other person is saying, because they don't want to come across as stupid. They don't want to come across as the unintellectual person. So they keep quiet, and because of that, you're feeding that fear of being dumb, of not being intelligent. You're feeding that, and because you're feeding that fear, you're not going to better yourself, because that fear is what's holding you back. And to those people, I want to say specifically, because I've been on the other side of that, so I want to speak from experience. I'd like to say to you guys, usually that person that's speaking and voicing these terms and whatever else has no fucking idea what they're saying. They really don't. They don't. They've just learned that system, and they know that in throwing out these big words or throwing out information that you have no idea about is gonna scare you off or make you feel inferior, so that you avoid questioning what they're saying, and you leave feeling like a total incompetent fool, while they leave feeling intelligent. And that fuels that false sense of ego. It fuels that. And that's not how it is, guys. The way I like to think about it is, I'm sure all of us were bullied, well, I'm pretty sure all of us were, and even the person that was bullying must have been bullied at some stage, otherwise they wouldn't have learned that behavior, right? The one that was bullying was being bullied at home, or it's just this long cycle. Anyway, not my point. But that bully that would bully you at school, and you'd be too scared to do anything about it. Whereas now, as an adult, you look back on that situation and you're like, holy shit, if I just did this, or if I just said that, it would have stopped. But you never did it then because you were too scared. But now you're like, holy shit, that totally would have stopped it, right? So this is what I like to call this as well. It's like an adult version of intellectual bullying, if I can say that. I don't know. And the thing is, it's not being done to make you look dumb. I guess as a side effect it is, but it's just to make the other person feel more intellectual, if I can say that. Because I've been in many situations, and like I said, I've been on that other side where I was getting these crazy high marks, none of which I believed in any of what I was writing about at all, by the way. It was all like, I was literally like, mindlessly, this is what they want me to say, and it's not what I believe in at all. Like, it really is. Anyhow, I've had this many times in my life where, somebody will, like, I'm super interested in the universe and space and quantum physics and all these insane things, and I'll have these people come up to me and all of a sudden, like, start, randomly out of the blue, throw out there about the universe, the moon, blah blah blah, but throw out like exactly how many light years away the moon is from Earth, or throwing out these like facts, where in actual fact there's no information that's being shared here that's actually fun to be speaking of, or none of that's actually happening. It's just sort of like, this person is telling me how it is, and that's either something I should swallow or let go of. And for some people, it was for me like this in the beginning as well, those big terms would scare me off. They would. funny thing, however, is if you question these intellectual adult bullies, that sounds so mean, I'm sorry, but if you do that, you'll see that they have no clue what they're talking about. It's as simple as that. I read a quote somewhere once. I'd be lying if I say I remember who it was by, but the quote said, "Keep it simple, stupid." And I've never agreed with anything more. Because if you're sitting there explaining these wildly insane quotes to me, and I asked you 2 seconds later, what does that mean? What are you saying? And you can't answer, then you don't know what you're talking about. You don't. And I've learned this. I've been lucky enough to be able to learn this because I now have I have a nephew that's 8 years old, who in my opinion is super intelligent. Anyhow, and ever since he was tiny, he's been asking me the most ridiculous questions, literally to the point where I'd have to sit on the internet with him and actually search for the stuff he's asking, because I have no clue. Like, it's questions I've never even been asked or asked myself. Anyway, so, you know, he'll even ask me about quantum mechanics, or he's like watched the Atom documentary with me, and then I have to explain it in layman's terms. So if you cannot explain, this is just my theory, I'm not saying this is how it is, but if you cannot explain a theory or a concept or whatever it is in a way that an 8-year-old can understand, then you have no clue what you are talking about. Again, that's just my opinion. It's not to say that you're dumb or whatever. That's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm just trying to say, like, you know, whatever. And then again, to that person that feels inferior and feels like this person is so clever, this person is so intellectual, what is intellectual, in my opinion, is questioning. That is what's clever. Just my opinion. It's not to say it's true, it's not to say it's real. For me, the term intelligence should be constructed in an entirely new way in order to be measured. For me, intelligence should be based on human potential and not something that's already defined, because if it's defined, then you have no room to grow. You have no potential of growth. That is just how it is, and that's how you are, and that's how you will stay. Your potential, however, if you're not defined, and if you're not dead set, the world is your oyster, you know, excuse the cliche, but that's just how it is. You're not defined, and you have space to question absolutely everything, instead of just saying that's how it is. And then also another quote which I agreed to, which was, if you meet somebody, I'll be lying if I say these are the exact words, but this is kind of what it's centered around. If you meet somebody who's questioning, trust them. If you meet somebody who knows, don't. And that's kind of how I feel. Although I like to entertain the person that's sitting there saying that they know and this is just how it is and that's how it is, you know, I kind of love throwing those words around. But if I'm around that, I'll entertain it for a little while, but you know, I'm not going to over-express whatever it is. I'll just sort of leave it at that, and you know, if that boosts their ego, then that's fine, and I'll leave it. I'm not going to say anything about it, but I'll leave knowing that they don't know. But it's sweet of them to try and make themselves feel better, I guess. I don't know. But yes, question, guys. Question everything. Don't feel intimidated by the big words. Ask them. Ask them, because I can tell you, for a split second, you might feel silly by saying, what does that mean? You might feel silly for a second. But 10 to 1, you know, that person's not going to, first of all, laugh at you, because if they are, then I don't know, that's just going to show a side that it just shows who they are as a person, I guess. You know, if they're laughing at you and they're not sitting there trying to help you. But ask, because they will explain it to you, and it's kind of almost like, which I have found, these subjects or topics that I'm interested in, when I mention it, if somebody asks me, you know, what are your interests, and I'll for instance say quantum mechanics, they're automatically repelled. And that's kind of also what this YouTube channel, I want to use it for, because I want to explain all these, how people will view it, crazy, out there, scientific concepts, in layman's terms, for all of you guys to be able to understand and also have conversations about, because it's interesting as hell. And just because they use high-tech terminology, I like to say that, even though they use high-tech terminology, does not mean you can't understand it. So I'm going to be explaining it in very simple terms so that you guys can and not feel inferior. Because like I said, it's not the person who knows that's clever, it's the person who questions. And that's for me what intelligence is. So carry on being intelligent and questioning what knowledge or facts or shit like that is. Just question everything, as I've said. And that's that video. I hope you guys enjoy your night, and thanks for watching and all the support that I've received from you guys so far. I know I haven't seen anything of yet, but I did have my super intellectual nephew chilling with me earlier, and he said you need to make a thank you thing with his exact words. So I really just want to thank you guys. It means a lot. It really, really does. This was a big thing. Other than that, carry on being as beautiful as you all are, and never feel inferior, because it's literally that fear that is going to stop you from bringing everything that you are capable of being. And don't put that limitation on yourself. That's just sad. The world is your oyster, the universe, the multiverse. So explore it. Bye guys.